Good morning. Thank you for joining me this day. This morning we'll be in Numbers chapter 2, verse 1 through chapter 3, verse 51. The Lord spoke to Moses and to Aaron. Every one of the Israelites must camp under his standard with the emblems of his family. They must camp at some distance around the tent of meeting. Now those who will be camping on the east toward the sunrise are the divisions of the camp of Judah under their standard. The leader of the people of Judah is Nahshon, son of Amminadab. Those numbered in his division are 74,600. Those who will be camping next to them are the tribe of Issachar. The leader of the people of Issachar is Nethanel, son of Zuar. Those numbered in his division are 54,400. Next will be the tribe of Zebulun. The leader of the people of Zebulun is Eliab, son of Helon. Those numbered in his division are 57,400. All those numbered of the camp of Judah according to their divisions are 186,400. They will travel at the front. On the south will be the divisions of the camp of Reuben under their standard. The leader of the people of Reuben is Elizur, son of Shedeur. Those numbered in his division are 46,500. Those who will be camping next to them are the tribe of Simeon. The leader of the people of Simeon is Shelumiel, son of Zurishaddai. Those numbered in his division are 59,300. Next will be the tribe of Gad. The leader of the people of Gad is Eliasaph, son of Deuel. Those numbered in his division are 45,650. All those numbered of the camp of Reuben according to their divisions are 151,450. They will travel second. Then the tent of meeting with the camp of the Levites will travel in the middle of the camps. They will travel in the same order as they camped, each in his own place under his standard. On the west will be the division of the camp of Ephraim under their standard. The leader of the people of Ephraim is Elishama, son of Ammihud. Those numbered in his division are 40,500. Next to them will be the tribe of Manasseh. The leader of the people of Manasseh is Gamaliel, son of Pedazur. Those numbered in his division are 32,200. Next will be the tribe of Benjamin. The leader of the people of Benjamin is Abidan, son of Gideoni. Those numbered in his division are 35,400. All those numbered of the camp of Ephraim according to their divisions are 108,100. They will travel third. On the north will be the divisions of the camp of Dan, under their standards. The leader of the people of Dan is Ahiezer, son of Ammishaddai. Those numbered in his division are 62,700. Those who will be camping next to them are the tribe of Asher. The leader of the people of Asher is Pagiel, son of Ochran. Those numbered in his division are 41,500. Next will be the tribe of Naphtali. The leader of the people of Naphtali is Ahira, son of Enan. Those numbered in his division are 53,400. All those numbered of the camp of Dan are 157,600. They will travel last under their standards. These are the Israelites, numbered according to their families. All those numbered in the camps by their divisions are 603,550. But the Levites were not numbered among the other Israelites as the Lord commanded Moses. So the Israelites did according to all that the Lord commanded Moses. That is the way they camped under their standards, and that is the way they traveled, each with his clan and family. Now, these are the records of Aaron and Moses when the Lord spoke with Moses on Mount Sinai. These are the names of the sons of Aaron: Nadab the firstborn, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. These are the names of the sons of Aaron, the anointed priests whom he consecrated to minister as priests. Nadab and Abihu died before the Lord when they offered strange fire before the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai, and they had no children. So Eleazar and Ithamar ministered as priests in the presence of Aaron their father. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Bring the tribe of Levi near, and present them before Aaron the priest, that they may serve him. They are responsible for his needs and the needs of the whole community before the tent of meeting, by attending to the service of the tabernacle, and they are responsible for all the furnishings of the tent of meeting, and for the needs of the Israelites as they serve in the tabernacle. You are to assign the Levites to Aaron and his sons. They will be assigned exclusively to him out of all the Israelites. So you are to appoint Aaron and his sons, and they will be responsible for their priesthood. But the unauthorized person who comes near must be put to death." Then the Lord spoke to Moses, "Look, I myself have taken the Levites from among the Israelites, instead of every firstborn who opens the womb among the Israelites. So the Levites belong to me. because all the firstborn are mine. When I destroyed all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I set apart for myself all the firstborn in Israel, both man and beast. They belong to me. I am the Lord. Then the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai. Number the Levites by their clans and their families, every male from a month old and upward. You are to number. So Moses numbered them according to the word of the Lord, just as he had been commanded. These were the sons of Levi by their names, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. These are the names of the sons of Gershon by their families, Libni and Shimei. The sons of Kohath by their families were Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uziel. The sons of Merari by their families were Mali and Mushi. These are the families of the Levites by their clans. From Gershon came the family of the Libnites and the family of the Shimeites. These were the families of the Gershonites. Those of them who were numbered, counting every male from a month old and upward, were 7,500. The families of the Gershonites were to camp behind the tabernacle toward the west. Now the leader of the clan of the Gershonites was Eliasaph, son of Lael. And the responsibilities of the Gershonites in the tent of meeting included the tabernacle, the tent with its covering, the curtain at the entrance of the tent of meeting, the hangings of the courtyard, the curtain at the entrance to the courtyard that surrounded the tabernacle and the altar, and their ropes, plus all the service connected with these things. From Kohath came the family of the Amramites, the family of the Izharites, the family of the Hebronites, and the family of the Uzielites. These were the families of the Kohathites. Counting every male from a month old and upward, there were 8,600. They were responsible for the care of the sanctuary. The families of the Kohathites were to camp on the south side of the tabernacle. Now the leader of the clan of the families of the Kohathites was Elizaphan, a son of Uziel. Their responsibilities included the ark, the table, the lampstand, the altars, and the utensils of the sanctuary with which they ministered, the curtain, and all their service. Now the head of all the Levitical leaders was Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest. He was appointed over those who were responsible for the sanctuary. From Merari came the family of the Malites and the family of the Mushites. These were the families of Merari. Those of them who were numbered, counting every male from a month old and upward, were 6,200. Now the leader of the clan of the families of Merari was Zuriel, son of Abihail. These were to camp on the north side of the tabernacle. The appointed responsibilities of the Merarites included the frames of the tabernacle, its crossbars, its posts, its sockets, its utensils, plus all the service connected with these things, and the pillars of the courtyard all around, with their sockets, their pegs, and their ropes. But those who were to camp in front of the tabernacle on the east, in front of the tent of meeting, were Moses, Aaron, and his sons. They were responsible for the needs of the sanctuary, and for the needs of the Israelites, but the unauthorized person who approached was to be put to death. All who were numbered of the Levites, whom Moses and Aaron numbered, by the word of the Lord, according to their families, every male from a month old and upward, were 22,000. Then the Lord said to Moses, Number all the firstborn males of the Israelites from a month old and upward, and take the number of their names, and take the Levites for me. I am the Lord, instead of all the firstborn males among the Israelites, and the livestock of the Levites instead of all the firstborn of the livestock of the Israelites. So Moses numbered all the firstborn males among the Israelites as the Lord had commanded him, and all the firstborn males by the number of the names from a month old and upward totaled 22,273. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, Take the Levites instead of all the firstborn males among the Israelites, and the livestock of the Levites instead of their livestock, and the Levites will be mine. I am the Lord. And for the redemption of the 273 firstborn males of the Israelites who exceed the number of the Levites, collect 5 shekels for each one individually. You are to collect this amount in the currency of the sanctuary shekel. This shekel is 20 gerahs, and give the money for the redemption of the excess number of them to Aaron and his sons. So Moses took the redemption money from those who were in excess of those redeemed by the Levites. From the firstborn males of the Israelites he collected the money, 1,365 shekels according to the sanctuary shekel. Moses gave the redemption money to Aaron and his sons, according to the word of the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. Just reading through it this morning, what leaves an impression is the well-ordered nature of things. Like, you have these divisions of the children of Israel that are numbered, their leader is stated, and where they are in accordance to the whole company of Israel. It reminds me very much of a army regiment, and I guess even more so because there are certain restricted areas there, and the penalty for entering the restricted area is death, and the consequences in an army, like for desertion, is death. So I feel like there are some parallels there. Also struck with the redemption of the firstborn of Israel. So all of the Levites were given into service to the Lord's tabernacle, but there were more in the remaining children of Israel that weren't necessarily covered by the Levites there. So they had to pay, in addition to the redemption of their sons by the Levites, 5 shekels per each man individually. So every one of the children of Israel shall camp by his own standard. Israel had been on this Exodus journey for more than a year and had assembled just about any way they had pleased. But now, ready to enter into the Promised Land, they had to take the next step in organization, ordering themselves. Balaam described the beauty and order of the camp of Israel in Numbers 24:5-6. How lovely are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, O Israel, like valleys that stretch out, like gardens by the riverside, like aloes planted by the Lord, like cedars beside the waters. There's a sense in which the orderliness of these early chapters of Numbers is akin to the orderliness of Genesis 1, as God has created the heavens and the earth and all that fills them with order, beauty, purpose, and wonder, so he constitutes his people with order, beauty, purpose, and wonder. In the war scroll from the Qumran caves, distinguishable standards were to be carried by each division within the ancestral tribe. I was reading the Word for Word Bible comic, which has a whole bunch of illustrations of all these various things, and he had to make up the standards for each of the individual tribes, and all I remember was the tribe of Judah bearing a lion on it, but I think that's interesting that each tribe had their own distinguishing symbol. I think a lot of it was based on Jacob's prophecy concerning his sons. They shall camp some distance from the tabernacle of meeting. At the center of this order was the tabernacle itself. The tribes would arrange themselves in a square to the east, south, west, and north in relation to the tabernacle. Since the tabernacle was symbolically the presence of God with them, this meant all order in Israel began being centered around God himself. The Egyptian army under Ramesses II in the 13th century BC adopted this formation in camp. They camped in a square with a royal tent in the middle. Likewise, Israel's king dwelt in the center of his armies in the tent of meeting. The Hebrew word order of verse 2 stresses the role of the individual in the context of the community. Each one was to know his exact position within the camp. A more literal translation, following the studied order of the Hebrew original, follows: each by his standard, by the banners of their father's house, the Israelites will encamp. In a circuit some way off from the tent of meeting they will encamp. The repetition of the verb will encamp is for stately stress. Here's the meaning of the individual in Israel, and here's the significance of his family. Some distance, partly out of reverence to God and his worship, and the portion allotted to it, and partly for caution, lest their vicinity to it might tempt them to make too near approaches to it. on the east side toward the rising sun. In the arrangement of the tribes, God started with the east side. In our Western world, we normally orient things toward the north. In the ancient Near East, things were arranged toward the east, toward the rising sun. The front is eastward, and Judah has the post of honor in the van. Interesting. Judah encamped foremost. It was fit the lion should lead the way. The order in their march showed the principality that should continue in this tribe till Shiloh came. Judah herein also was a type of Christ, who is the captain of the Lord's host and of our salvation, and goes before his heavenly armies. Different sources cite different emblems or figures on these standards. Keel and Delitzsch admit neither the Mosaic Law nor the Old Testament generally give us any intimation as to the form or character of the standard, and claim that rabbinical tradition describes the images on each standard. According to rabbinical tradition, the standard of Judah bore the figure of a lion, that of Reuben the likeness of a man or of a man's head, that of Ephraim the figure of an ox, and that of Dan the figure of an eagle. However, they give no reference to any ancient rabbi, citing only the 16th century Roman Catholic commentator Jerome de Prado. Yeah, there's various things here. The 1675 Portuguese book, Tesouro de Nobreza, Thesaurus of Nobility, gives the coats of arms of many noble families, both of its time and from history. The first chapter of the book is titled Weapons of the Tribes of Israel, and it presented an imagined coat of arms for each of the 12 tribes of Israel. Later in the book, it pictures imagined coats of arms for Joshua, David, Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, King Arthur, and many others. In Nahshon, the son of Amminadab, shall be the leader of the children of Judah. God recognized a specifically called leader for the tribe of Judah and for each of the tribes following. The order and organization God called Israel to embrace required leadership, with leaders both recognized by God and respected by the people. With the camp of the Levites in the middle of the camps. The priestly tribe was in the middle of the camps, closest to the tabernacle, and surrounded by the other tribes. There is a sense here of the progressive manifestation of the presence of God in the midst of the people. First, he is on the mountain on Sinai. Then he comes to the tent without the camp. Then he indwells the tent in the midst of the camp. One day he would reveal himself through the incarnation in the midst of his people. And on a day still to come, there will be a full realization of the presence of the person of God dwelling in the midst of his people in the New Jerusalem. Yeah. It's interesting. You have in the Genesis account God walking in the midst of the garden, having fellowship with man, and then that fellowship being removed, and that is man being thrown out from the garden, and a flaming sword being set to guard the entrance to the Garden of Eden. So you have the severing of that relationship, but then you have, with this progressive reintroduction of peace between God and man, it's fully realized in the blood of Jesus Christ, making peace on earth between God and man. So they camped by their standards. Each tribal group was arranged after the standards of the tribes, and they broke camp and marched in that same order. In the marching forth from Mount Sinai, the tribes dutifully and faithfully adhered to these instructions for orderly encampment, assembly and disassembly of the tabernacle, and disembarkment on the journey through the wilderness. This verse also speaks of significant order, a major accomplishment for a people so numerous, so recently enslaved, and more recently a mob in disarray. The text speaks well of the administrative leadership of Moses, God's reluctant prophet, and of the work done by the 12 worthies, who were the leaders of each tribe. Some observations by Guzik. God is a God of order here. Before Israel can take the promised land, he requires they order themselves also. Not only is it more efficient and useful, but it is also simply more like God, ordered and organized. God orders things according to his wisdom, not our wisdom. In the arrangement of the tribes, he did not place the largest tribes closest to the tabernacle, as if bigger was always better. Ephraim, the closest westward tribe, was the third smallest tribe, nor did the Lord place all the large tribes on the outward perimeter for the greatest protection. Benjamin, the second smallest tribe, is on the outer perimeter. God always works with order and organization, but the reasons for God's order and organization may not always make sense to us. Everything was positioned in relation to the presence of God, the tabernacle. God could have described where the tribe of Judah was in relation to the tribe of Dan, but he did not. The reference point was always God himself. And the tribes of Israel camped around 4 banners, which are sometimes considered to bear the images of a lion, a man, a calf, and an eagle. If the standards did bear these images, we find a remarkable correspondence with the 4 creatures surrounding the throne of God in Revelation. The first living creature was like a lion, the second living creature like a calf, the third living creature had a face like a man, and the fourth living creature was like a flying eagle. God's order is never arbitrary or just made up on a whim. It is after his heavenly pattern. We must always accept God's order and organization, even when we don't understand it. Yeah, it's interesting that those mesh so closely with that description in Revelation. Then carrying on in Numbers 3. Now these are the records of Aaron and Moses. The census of the tribes of Israel will record the tribe and family of Aaron and Moses. This was done as Israel was still at Mount Sinai. Adam Clarke noted that Moses did not appoint his sons to leadership in Israel. Moses passed by his own family or immediate descendants. He gave no rank or privilege to them during his life, and left nothing to them at his death. They became incorporated with the Levites, from or amongst whom they are never distinguished. Nadab the firstborn and Abihu. Nadab and Abihu were the 2 oldest children of Aaron, and the 2 ranking priests behind him. Yet they were struck down by the Lord for offering profane fire before the Lord. The death of Nadab and Abihu is referred to at least 5 times in Leviticus and Numbers. This repetition shows that God did not want the event forgotten or the lessons it teaches to be neglected. Seemingly, the most common reports of failure we hear of God's ministers in our own day are of their malfeasance, indolence, greed, lust, and abuse of power. Tragically, the lessons of the past are forgotten with frightful ease. The spiritual descendants of Nadab and Abihu continue to occupy the ranks of the ministers of God. Yeah. And just as Nadab and Abihu casually glossed over the fact that they shouldn't offer any other incense than the incense that God prescribed for the temple, so too I think people can gloss over that God is a God who exists and demands to be approached a certain way. That is, salvation is found in no one else, for there is no other name under heaven given to men by which we must be saved. And I know sometimes there's a temptation to soften the message of the gospel, so that it's more received by people and we can therefore be more liked. But that's a strange fire unto the Lord. Bring the tribe of Levi near, and present them before Aaron the priest, that they may serve him. The entire tribe of Levi was given to serve the need of Aaron and the priests, to serve the needs of the congregation at large, and to serve the needs of the tabernacle itself. These were important aspects of the Levite service, but they also had at least one other important responsibility: to teach God's word to the people of God. Deuteronomy 24:8 is one passage stating that the priests and the Levites were to teach the people of Israel God's word. Carefully observe and do according to all that the priests, the Levites, shall teach you, just as I commanded them, so you shall be careful to do. We also see that the Levites from the families of Gershon, Kohath, and Merari also served as musicians during the reign of King David. However the Levites served, it was in sacrificial surrender to God. Clark notes of the phrase, bring the tribe of Levi near, hakreb is properly a sacrificial word, and signifies the presenting of a sacrifice or offering to the Lord. As an offering, the tribe of Levi was given up entirely to the service of the sanctuary, to be no longer their own, but the Lord's property. And they shall attend to his needs. According to Wenham, attend to his needs is more literally to keep guard. They had to be permanently on guard, ready to kill any unauthorized person approaching the tent of meeting, its furniture, or the altar. The phrase, he shall be put to death, implies a judicial execution, though in this context it is more like a policeman shooting a bank robber. They were to protect against both enemies, foreign invaders, and friends, Israelites not authorized to enter the tabernacle or its courts. So the Levites also served as something of security guards. And also as workers in the temple, to do the work of the tabernacle. In some ways, being a priest was far more visible and perhaps glamorous than being a Levite, but the service of the Levites made the work of the priests possible and was seen by God as having equal value. It was all part of the work of the tabernacle. The duties of the children of Gershon. The Gershonites were to take care of the skins that covered the tabernacle itself. According to all the work relating to them, means the children of Gershon were responsible for the disassembly, transport, assembly, and upkeep of the tent with its covering, the screens, the hangings, and the cords. The families of the Amramites. The term Amramites reminds us of the family of Aaron and Moses. Aaron is an Amramite. The presence of the family of the Amramites suggests that Amram was not the direct father of Aaron, Miriam, and Moses, but an ancestor. Hence, Aaron and Moses were from the family of Kohath, of the tribe of Levi. Interesting. Got a diagram here of the sons of Israel. And it's something that I had heard mentioned before in Beth Moore, was that you have kind of the symbol of the cross being illustrated by the formation of Israel, in that you have, for those most eastward, the largest number, so you kind of have an extension out to the east. And then kind of a balanced group to the north and south, which is about 157,000, 151,000, and then to the west, a smaller amount, 108,000. So, given the numbers, it does appear to be a cross. So it's interesting that you have the that sort of symbology present, even here. Those who were to camp before the tabernacle on the east. The family of Aaron and Moses were to camp on the east side of the tabernacle, closest to the entrance, which was on the east side of the sanctuary. Moses and Aaron had the most honored location, as we would expect. They guarded the entrance to the tent of meeting, and they did so facing the sun. There is a sense in which the opening of the tent best faces the east, for this is the direction of the encampment of the people. Later on, Solomon was to build the holy temple in Jerusalem. Its entrance would also face east. The morning sun would shine first on the entrance of the holy place, as a symbol of the life-giving light of God that illumines the place of his presence. Number all the firstborn males of the children of Israel. In Numbers 3, 11 through 13, God told Moses that the Lord would claim Levites as a substitute for the firstborn males of Israel, as the first and presumably the best of God's blessings. The firstborn belonged to God. A firstborn lamb would be sacrificed to the Lord, but God did not want human sacrifice. He received the Levites instead, and this command to number all the firstborn males of the children of Israel was part of that exchange. They were to take the Levites instead of all the firstborn among the children of Israel. There can be a difference between what God lays claim to and what he materially receives. God laid claim to all of Israel, and spiritually they all belong to him and his purpose. Materially, God received only the tribe of Levi in the place of all Israel. The same concept is true regarding our material possessions. Everything we have belongs to God. It is all his. Materially speaking, we return to him a proportion in the place of all that belongs to us. Belongs to us. All the firstborn males according to the number of names. However, there were 22,273 firstborn sons in Israel, and there were only 22,000 Levite males. There were more firstborn sons than Levite males. The extra 273 firstborn sons were assigned a value in money, and the money was given to the tabernacle. This amounted to 1,365 shekels of what God called redemption money. The number of firstborn sons is low if accounted for all the nation. It would mean that only 1 in 27 sons were firstborns, an unlikely percentage. It is more probable that the 22,273 firstborn sons were those born in the 13 months since their departure from Egypt. The Levites were redeemed with a silver shekel, but under the new covenant, the believer is redeemed with something far more costly and precious, the blood of Jesus Christ, as a lamb without blemish. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a great day.